Quarters.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler.
Reaction Monday here on 107.5 The Game, and welcome in. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Pearson, Preston, Chris, Wes along shortly.
Chris Clark.
Was your pick more about what Carolina did against Tennessee, or was it more about the way that Clemson had struggled this year?
For me, it was a little more 50-50 as to who would win the game.
Yeah.
It was a little bit of a gut feel. It was a little bit of looking at some matchups going into the game.
And Wes Mitchell.
As we get Wes in here, was your final score prediction 29-28?
I know. I normally go with like the football numbers, and I was just like, I feel like this game is going to be weird.
Yeah.
So I kind of tried to pick the weirdest number I could come up with.
On the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
A minute after 11 o'clock on a Wednesday morning. Every day this week has felt like Friday to me, so I'm probably going to get the day wrong at some point. Welcome into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour as our coverage of National Signing Day here on 107.5 The Game continues. It's a big day for South Carolina, for Gamecock fans, and as Wes told us yesterday, not necessarily a day that's full of surprises. Wes, Chris, to be honest, you've kind of ruined this day for a lot of people. Your information is too good. You know who Carolina's going to sign. I guess the players some credit themselves. A lot of these guys don't really drag it out. Carolina's already had 12 or 15 guys that have signed and sent in their letters of intent. Not as much drama as this day used to hold. Still a couple potential flips that Carolina's watching out for. But Wes, you told us yesterday you weren't worried about it, at least about the information. Has that been confirmed today?
Yeah, and I think a lot of the guys that we would have been tracking today as far as uncommitted players actually went ahead and committed yesterday. So it was kind of a big lead-in for South Carolina. You look at, Trey Knox sort of kicking things off yesterday, transfer from Arkansas, Reed McKeska, the recommit of Tree Babalade, and then, of course, Elijah Davis, the Wagner Sally standout who has been at East Mississippi Community College for a couple of years, four-star JUCO, actually the number one JUCO defensive lineman in the country. He committed yesterday as well. So for the most part, those guys went ahead and stole a little bit of thunder from the signing day by going ahead and committing a day early.
It feels like maybe the headline here, and I get this is signing day, and this is about the high school class, so that's what we will spend most of the day on. But let's go ahead and get this out of the way now, because Trey Knox transferring to South Carolina feels like a big deal, partly because he's an older player. He's going to contribute right away. I think you can probably already pretty comfortably pencil him in as a starter, as someone that had a very productive career throughout his time at Arkansas. There was one season that was shortened by injury. Other than that, he's solidly in, about 25 catches a season, around 300 yards, usually good for a couple touchdowns a year, 5 this past season for Arkansas. There's the Dow Loggins relationship. There's the Justin Stepp relationship. This is not hugely surprising, but Wes, especially as thin as South Carolina's tight end room was looking just about a week ago, not only do they have bodies now, but it feels like Trey Knox might be a real headliner next season.
Yeah, they've started to rebuild that room, and you can kind of think along with the coaches here. We obviously don't know what this offense is going to specifically be, but I think we already have an idea that it's going to borrow from a lot of the concepts we saw South Carolina use this past season. Part of their philosophy under Shane Beamer has been a lot of 2 tight end sets. So I think if you look at rebuilding that room, you're going to want to have some sort of like a diversity of skill sets there. You look at Nick Elksness, who comes in from Florida. He's more of a big-bodied guy, probably an inline tight end, going to potentially be a blocker first. And then I think you look at Trey Knox. He is obviously a converted wide receiver, has put on some weight in college, but still is not a guy you necessarily are going to want to line up in line, 40 times a game. I think you're going to flex him out, put him in the slot, maybe even put him on the outside at times. And I think it's more of your sort of new age, passing game first type tight end, and someone that I think has always had a lot of potential. He didn't necessarily put up massive numbers at Arkansas, but I think this is a guy that can probably have his best year, as a college player in this South Carolina scheme, because you look at their need, you look at the chance for him to come in and play a little bit different role than he did at Arkansas. And, I think it's a good fit, and you can sort of see even how they've spread out the different classes. Like, yeah, they're going to sign a bunch of tight ends coming in, but you know, you got Trey Knox, who basically has 1 year of eligibility left. You've got Elkness, who has 3 years of eligibility left. You've got the freshman. There's another transfer we can talk about later that they're recruiting as well at tight end. So, you know, they've kind of been able to space these guys out.
Well, yeah, let me go ahead and throw that your way then, Chris, because Carolina, as Wes mentioned, is still, I guess, pursuing, maybe waiting on a decision for I guess, a potential. It's Cam Robinson that you're mentioning, the Virginia commit right now that Carolina's trying to flip. No,
if you're talking about the tight end, it'd be Josh Simon.
Josh Simon, right,
Yeah,
from Western Kentucky.
From Western Kentucky, who will be
Too much information
playing
here.
tonight at 9 p.m.
Okay.
in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl or something like that.
There we go. That's right.
Yeah.
Cameron Robinson, the linebacker that's a Virginia commit, that we'll talk about later, that Carolina may still be waiting on a decision there. But I guess my question for Simon, you get the Knox transfer, you get the Elksness transfer, you have Cam Sandlin, you just flipped, as we talked about, Reed McKeska from Miami. You also got CJ Adams, who we talked about as a wide receiver, maybe tight end body, and kind of like the Casey Crosby, Jaheim Bell kind of mold. You also got Connor Cox. Like,
yeah,
you went from no tight ends to now a lot of tight ends. Do these recent signees and the recent flip from McKeska maybe make it less likely that Carolina lands another transfer portal guy like Joshua Simon? Now looking at the room saying, what? There's like 18 tight ends now.
No, I don't think it makes it I don't think it makes it less likely because of the reason that Wes laid out, right? Like, you kind of, if it was 5 or 6 tight ends who were in the 2023 class as freshmen, there's absolutely no way this would be happening. But Wes gave the numbers. You know, you've got McKeska, Cox, and Sandlin, who are freshmen. McKeska and Cox are kind of similar to each other. Sandlin's a good bit different. CJ Adams, I'm not counting in there because there was some conversations about kind of like a wide back type of role, but it looks like he's going to start out at least in the wide receiver room. So let's slot him there. McKeska, Cox, Sandlin, freshman, full slate of eligibility. Elksness, as Wes said, 3 years. Trey Knox has a redshirt year. He's not going to use it. He's a 1-year guy. And then you've got Josh Simon would have 2 years. And he's a guy that's a pass catching threat as well. Western Kentucky's all-time leading touchdown receptions leader for a tight end. So he's, you know, again, different year set and a little different skill set. And then South Carolina's still recruiting a couple guys who could play tight end for February for down the road too. Shamar Easter, Arkansas commitment, who took an official visit, and then Nicholas Harbor, the 5-star from DC, who they're eyeing as a 2-way player, edge and tight end. So, yeah, I mean, they've got 5 guys lined up right now. They look to be in good shape for Josh Simon, and then you take it from there.
When was the last true 2-way player in college football?
I'm sure there's an easy answer that we're not remembering.
Like, we've seen guys like it was, oh my gosh, I already forgot his name. Who is Carolina's running back from a couple years ago who ran like straight up? Zaquandre White played some DB.
Yeah, but not at Carolina.
Right.
He played linebacker at FSU, but that was like a full-time
did he
position
not play
move.
some DB towards the end of that season when all the DBs opted out? I guess 2020.
They did.
Yeah.
I don't remember if he played on the field, but he was practicing at DB late in that year. He may have gotten in late that season.
That's a good pull.
Savell? Did he play DB and quarterback in the same season, or were those different years?
Yeah, he did.
Okay.
The UCLA had
Miles Jack.
Yeah, had a linebacker. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Miles Jack was one.
Stud.
What a
Langston
great
Moore,
name.
offensive and defensive line.
Great linebacker name. Whew.
Miles Jack.
Miles Jack Hammer. Just added at the end.
There you go.
So Nicholas Harbor is going to come in and play DN and tight end for Carolina?
Well, and when you think about that, that would be the plan. Now, that does not mean he's out there on first down at tight end, in line, blocking a 200, some dude from Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And then it does not mean he's out there on first down as a run stopper, right?
Okay.
Like it'd be a little bit more niche on both sides, to where he's kind of you find ways to get him on the field and make him a pass catching threat at tight end, and then he'd be a third down like edge rusher.
Okay. So I was gonna say basically he'd be like Tonka, mostly plays on the defensive line and let him catch some like 2-point conversions and fake punts and stuff like that.
I think he'd have a little bit more. Well, he would definitely be interesting. Pete Limbo, I'm sure, would love an opportunity to draw something up for
because
Nick
early on y'all had. I mean, he's listed as an athlete. Y'all had identified his prospects being more on the offensive side of the ball, if I'm not mistaken.
Kind of depends on who you talk to.
Okay.
I mean, I think his high school coach, I talked with his high school coach about that, that notion. And one of the things that he mentioned was, the fact that Nicholas Harbor is going to want to stay, he's like 230, 235. He's going to need to stay in that range because of track.
Yeah.
So this isn't a guy that's going to get up to, I mean, he could certainly get bigger, but you don't bring in Nicholas Harbor and say, okay, we're going to make you 260.
Yeah.
I mean, he could probably get that big, but
so if he's a DN, he's going to be like Darius English. He's going to be more of a pass rushing specialist, a little bit slimmer. Okay. So that makes sense. But okay. So the same thing. So obviously he's not making his decision until February. And obviously he's someone that's probably going to come in and expect to play right away. He's not going to be daunted by a crowded room, but I mean, is Carolina's leaving room for him, right?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he's going to come play tight end, they've just gotten all the tight ends. Preston was laying out in the last hour, or I guess in the 9 o'clock hour, why that's become such a valuable position, because it is guys that can play wide receiver or block or play true tight end or play defensive end or help on special teams. It's just kind of the catch-all athlete. H-back, yeah. You can do a lot with those guys.
I think we also got to remember Nick Harbor. He's like a unicorn.
Yeah.
Like he doesn't compare. There's some prospects that you just say, we just want this guy.
What would you like to play? Would you like to play quarterback? Would you like to be the head coach?
Yeah, he's a unicorn. He can do it all. He may be your first ever third down specialist that just is a third down specialist on both sides of the ball.
Oh, I love this.
Pass catcher on
Did you just create something?
I did. That's
This
you go.
is really exciting.
There's recruiting.
What position does he play? Third down?
Third down.
Third down and goal line.
Yeah, wow.
Goal line on offense.
Normally that kind of specialty is reserved for an offensive genius like Adam Gase, who only calls plays on third downs, but Nick Harbor could be like reinventing the third down specialist. This is amazing. I'm really excited. We got to take a break now just so I can bask in that idea. Real quick, Donnie with another good one. Chris Gamble at Ohio State playing wide receiver and defensive back. Another good one.
Chris Gamble, former Carolina Panther. I think he was a first-round pick.
Yeah.
Fun fact.
For a long time.
Had a Gamble jersey.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Was it 20 or 21?
Is one of those. I think it was 20.
Yeah.
We can verify.
Yeah. Thanks, Donnie. 803-404-6100. We'll focus a little bit more on the actual incoming freshman, Nicholas Harbor, not making his decision, of course, until February. We'll get, I guess, an update closer to his commitment time on how Carolina's doing with him. And Trey Knox is a transfer. So we'll start to focus more and more on the actual incoming freshman, because that's what today's all about. It's National Signing Day. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, and 107.5 The Game's coverage of National Signing Day, brought to you by Griffin Pools and Spas, continues next.
This is Damon Amendolara with your CBS Sports Minute. It's not hyperbole to say that Franco Harris changed the course of NFL history. When he caught the deflection in the 72 playoff game, it gave the Steelers their first ever postseason success and jump-started the Steelers dynasty. They would not win the Super Bowl that year, but the immaculate reception showed the young Steelers what winning would look like. This is Damon Amendolara.
At Lowe's, every pro is an MVP to us. That's why MVP's Pro Rewards members can earn bonus points on select products and brands like Power Pro, Weehaw, and Valspar. Then redeem your bonus points for exciting rewards like tools, sports memorabilia, Lowe's e-gift cards, and more. Join Lowe's MVP's Pro Rewards today to start earning. Bonus points calculated before taxes and fees after applicable discounts, if any. Subject to program terms. While supplies last. Points expire at end of calendar year. Visit lowes.com/L/pro loyalty terms for details. Now through 1/8/23.
I wanted to know why some people who get COVID-19 get it so bad. I found out it may be because they have a high risk factor, such as heart disease, diabetes, being overweight, smoking, and asthma. Even if symptoms feel mild, these factors can increase your risk of COVID-19 turning severe. So if you're at high risk and test positive, there are things you can do, like asking your healthcare provider if an authorized oral treatment is right for you. Learn about an option at treatcovid19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Since 1964, Gateway Supply has been the Midland's leader in plumbing and HVAC supply. And now, of course, they are statewide with more than 15 locations all across South Carolina. Their showrooms are filled with bath and kitchen fixtures from classic to modern styles. Now, tap and touchless faucets. You can even talk to your kitchen sink. See them at Hamrick Street near the fairgrounds in Williams-Brice, or Highway 6 and Whiteford Way in Lexington. Design services, expert advice for customers and contractors alike. Visit them online at gatewaysupply.net.
Treat your family to a Bullfrog hot tub from Griffin Pools and Spas. The perfect place to relax, unwind, leave the day behind. Only Bullfrog offers the Jetpack Therapy System. Each seat is customized to fit every body in your family, including the just-arrived Bullfrog Swim Spa. There's never been a better time to spa and save. Come into Griffin Pools today and reserve your new Bullfrog Spa. Bullfrog Spas. Peaceful body, peaceful mind, peaceful home. Discover more at griffinpoolsandspas.com.
Griffin Pools and Spas. We make you feel good.
Hey, if you've got a hole in your roof or you need a whole new roof, you need to call Mid-State Roofing, 356-1919. For nearly a quarter of a century, Mid-State Roofing has established its reputation as the leader in the roofing industry. Whether it's above your head or at your feet, perhaps a leaky foundation, 356-1919 is the number to call for all your roofing and waterproofing needs. The quality and craftsmanship of a Mid-State roofing system are tops in the industry, especially commercial and industrial roofing systems. If you own or you're in charge of a large building, warehouse, or industrial facility, then you're in charge of that roof. And at some point, a roof is going to need some attention. So the number to call for advice, service, results, and a commitment to customer satisfaction is 356-1919. See all that Mid-State has to offer when you click on midstateroofing.com. Tell them, Mid-State twins.
If you have a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
356-1919, midstateroofing.com.
One more stop, and where's the sleigh? Rudolph!
Hey, Santa.
Rudolph, where's the sleigh?
Oh, that. Well, here's the thing. Schroeder's Towing took it. You see, Santa, the glow from my very shiny nose got in my eyes, and I didn't see the no parking sign.
Oh, Rudolph, what are we going to do with you?
Oh, Santa, I don't know.
Schroeder's offers free signage to deter unwanted parking. Call Schroeder's at 772-7930 or visit schroederstowing.com.
Schroeder's Towing, the best and fastest hookers in town.
Hi, folks. Johnny Stivers here for the all-new Stivers Hyundai. Our 50,000-square-foot facility is complete with a massive two-story showroom, climate-controlled service drive, a quick service facility for your regular maintenance needs, and a huge, comfortable waiting room to rest or get work done while you wait. Now, through the end of the month, I've got 0% on most vehicles, and we have a huge inventory right now with more on the way. You'll never pay over sticker for one of my cars. So, Columbia, when you think Hyundai, think Stivers Hyundai on the corner of Faro and Killian Road, where Price sells cars.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 107.5 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
107.5 The Game's early signing day extravaganza
Is sponsored by Griffin Pools and Spas, your Bullfrog Spa headquarters. On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks. 107.5 The Game.
19 minutes after 11 o'clock Wednesday morning, and welcome back in to the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour and our continuing coverage of National Signing Day here on 107.5 The Game. Wes, Chris, Preston, Pearson, all here with you. The band is back together. I guess it's been a while. It's been since last Thursday, I think, since all four of us were together. So happy to have everybody back. Of course, lots of news to get to today. South Carolina getting official letters of intent from everybody they expected to. Maybe a couple of unexpected ones for South Carolina. Shane Beamer has a press conference at 3 o'clock this afternoon to introduce everyone that has signed. I guess a couple of guys that will do so a little bit later that he won't have a chance to talk about. But right now, according to Gamecock Central, the list of guys that have officially faxed in their letters of intent
is probably zero.
Is zero. Yep. So you better be, y'all better be, y'all start to worry about this 2023 class. Now, I like to say that, and y'all like to remind me that they don't fax anymore. But like the fax thing, like it was only a couple of years ago that people were still faxing these in, correct?
I think a little more than that.
Yeah,
but
probably a little more.
But like in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm almost 30 and I've never used a fax in my life. So the fact that 10 years ago they were still using fax is ridiculous to me. In any case, Marquis Anderson, Pup Howard, Tree Babalade, Xavier McLeod, DJ Braswell, Montague Rames, Trovon Baugh, Elijah Davis, Kelton Henderson, Zabari Sandy, Connor Cox, CJ Adams, Cam Sandlin, Jatavius Shivers, Cam Upshaw, Reed McKeska, Judge Collier, and Tyshawn Russell have all signed their letters of intent according to Gamecock Central. Y'all can go check out their sweet landing page, their little National Signing Day Central thing if you want up to the minute updates on that. A few more questions about this class and a good question here from the text line. But first, Chris Clark, I guess maybe you can probably find a way to hook your computer up to like a sweet multi-screen deal that you have in your living room, but otherwise it's just a great way to watch movies and sports and play games and stuff.
Yeah, and you mentioned there might be a way, or you might have to find a way. I mean, that just shows we might not always know what to do. If you want to project Wes's updates that are coming out on GamecockCentral.com all day onto your TV or some type of projector for some reason, if you want to show it off, you can call the guys at Integrated Media, or if you just need something as simple as mounting a new television, or if you need security and cameras, home theater, smart home solutions, anything audio and video, anything technologically related in your home, as simple as, hey, my internet connection is not very good. I've got a bunch of dead spots in my home. Got anything like that going on, hit up Michael and Nathan and his team at Integrated Media. They've been to my home several times. They've been to other homes in my neighborhood. I've seen the setup in my home, seen the setup in those homes, and it is awesome. They do a great job. Don't use the big box services. Get the service with a local touch. They can help you come up with concepts and ideas, kind of optimize and maximize your space, help you find ways to save money on equipment, find the best equipment, and install it for you and get it all nice and situated. Hit up Michael and Nathan and their team, integratedmediainc.com or 803-948-8327.
Chris, so far, and actually, let's just assume that the guys that are expected to sign today are going to sign, and let's not worry about anybody that might be added in February. Right now, who is the crown jewel of this 2023 recruiting class for South Carolina?
That's a good one. If I had to pick one guy, I'm going to pick Pup Howard for a lot of reasons, like on and off field factors and need. So he is a really talented kid. I think the On3 consensus has him as a top 200 player. 6'3", 215, super productive player at the high school level. Early commit for South Carolina, has been 100% balled in from the get-go, has helped South Carolina recruit, and then plays linebacker, of course, which is next season going to be a position of need because you're losing 2 6-year senior linebackers. And there's going to be, at a minimum, some opportunity for playing time and maybe even some open starting roles there at linebacker. So I think there's probably several directions you could go with that, to be quite honest. USC has, in my opinion, a offensive and defensive line class that individually, or when you just look at it collectively together, if those guys develop, they've got a chance to have a really, really good trenches class, and you could probably pick a guy or two out of that. But I'm going with McLeod right now. I mean, not McLeod. I'm sorry. I'm going with Grayson Howard right now.
You mean hashtag trenches?
Hashtag trenches.
So Marquis Anderson, is he still the highest rated commit / signing in Carolina's class? Okay.
He is.
All right. So Wes, Pup Howard's off the board, which I know you've been bullish on him. I think I asked you guys maybe the same question or some variation of this question back in August, and I'm pretty sure you said Pup Howard. But you can't pick him now. So who is your
Chris
pick?
took mine.
For the guy.
I'll go a little outside the box, I guess you would say. How about Bakari Swain, who Deion Sanders has tried his best to flip from South Carolina, took an OV to Colorado. This is a guy South Carolina got in on, I would say, before the recruiting industry kind of caught up. Right now, as his ranking has sort of gone up, On3 has him as the number 104 prospect in the country. So right outside the top 100. Now, if you look at the average, ESPN Rivals actually have him like a mid 3-star, which is where he started out when South Carolina recruited him.
Hmm.
But both On 3 and 24/7 have him very easily into 4-star territory. 104 for On 3, 167 for 24/7.
So 104 would put him even above Marky Anderson right now, I believe, right?
Yes, that is as far as On 3 itself is concerned, not the consensus, which
Yeah.
is like the average. So by On 3's tally, he's like among the high school guys, he's the highest rated prospect in the class for South Carolina, and they're currently they have not announced his signing yet. Waiting on that here shortly, but I think this is a kid that could play corner, could play receiver. He's got length, he's got athleticism, good head on his shoulders, and there's really just to steal Chris's phrase, there's a lot to like about him, and someone that kind of has just flown a little bit under the radar, but that the guys at On 3 really, really obviously like quite a bit.
Wes, you make fun of me sometimes for wanting to turn receivers into DBs all the time.
He wants to turn everybody into DBs.
I'm going against the grain.
You're going receiver.
Yeah. Bakari Swain, it looks like the plan. Now, he does play both ways in high school. He plays DB, receiver, special teams returner. I think, given the need and how good he is with the ball in his hands, I would like him to play receiver. Now, he could be a good DB. That appears to be the plan, actually, at South Carolina. Speed, length. This is a kid who's, he kind of checks the boxes of what Torian Gray looks for. He's 6'1", 180, so he's got length. He can run. But, man, when you turn on his film and look at him with the ball in his hands, and you consider that, I feel like, just looking at South Carolina's freshman receiver class, I feel like he would be probably the best freshman receiver if they slotted him there.
Well, you better start talking to Justin Stepp, and you better start negging him to Torian Gray. Be like, I don't know. I saw his DB tape. It's not that good, Torian. You don't want him. Give him to Justin.
Okay. We'll get right on that.
Let me ask you about one other guy, and I ask you guys, this is not my pick because I don't have a pick because I haven't been grinding film like you two, but one other piece of news, South Carolina did get a commit, and he has already signed yesterday from defensive lineman Elijah Davis. Now, he's a JUCO guy. I think I saw somewhere that he's the #1 defensive lineman in the JUCO ranks right now. Seems like Alabama also was interested in his services. Whenever I see that Alabama wants anyone to come play for them, I feel like that is a good get. And given that he's older, probably projects to contribute right away as an older player, is this a guy that we could look back in a couple of years and feel like might be the guy in this class?
Yeah, certainly. And I think, it's to me a little bit more difficult sometimes to accurately project interior defensive linemen. It's a little bit more difficult, in my opinion, to accurately project JUCO guys. It seems like, because they're not always playing the best competition, and there's a lot that kind of goes into that transition. However, very highly rated, highly recruited guy. It was South Carolina, Tennessee, and Alabama, so that sort of gives you an idea there. Had a bunch of other SEC offers too, just never really entertained them. And it always seemed like he was going to end up back in his home state. This is one of those things where South Carolina, it would have been under the previous staff, but when he was in high school, they showed him some love. They had him in for camps and stuff like that. It was just always known that he was going to have to do some additional academic work. So he's been someone we've always kind of identified. Not that not that I want to compare him to Javon Kinlaw. I think they're different players. I would say more just like the path he has taken, in that it was always kind of known, this is an intriguing in-state guy who would have had a lot more recruiting interest if not for the academic situation. So they're very high on him. He's been a priority target. They have sold him on the idea of, hey, look, Zach Pickens is out. There's an option there or an opportunity there, I should say, for a guy to come in and play right away. And that's what they've sold him on. And, I think a guy that will be realistically will be in that rotation, will be in that battle with obviously the other returning guys at defensive tackle.
So we know we have someone here that knows a thing or two about evaluating and being recruited as an interior defensive lineman, including being horribly misevaluated by the coaching staff at Auburn.
Clowns.
Yeah. Did y'all hear that story?
No,
did not.
I'll get Preston told it earlier. I'll get him to tell you during the break. We'll get some of his thoughts on this process as well. 803-404-6100. I have a very good, interesting question here on the text line that I want to ask you two as well. And we'll talk about some of the other headliners in this class of 2023 as the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour and 107.5 The Game's coverage of National Signing Day continues next.
107.5 The Game's early signing day extravaganza
is sponsored by Griffin Pools and Spas, your Bullfrog Spa headquarters.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
The demand for your used car is at an all-time high, and it's never been worth more. Herndon Chevrolet needs your trade. We'll buy your car, even if you don't buy ours. And to prove it, we're willing to beat any written offer by $500. That's right. We'll beat any written offer by $500. Visit Herndon Chevrolet today.
Herndon Chevrolet, Herndon makes you wanna smile.
803-630-5929 for more details.
Whatever your current t-shirt budget is, double it and trust Palmetto Shirt Company to deliver your shirts. T-shirts build identity. Identity builds better teams, and better teams build better businesses. You can put Palmetto Shirt Company's 20-plus years of printing experience to work for you and your team. We help you build a team identity with our designs, our shirt selections, and keep it within your budget. We'll make it easy for you. Just find us online at palmettoshirtco.com and build your team's identity today. Palmetto Shirt Company, South Carolina's brand.
Getting your home ready for the holidays? AAA Heating and Air wants to help you make sure you will be keeping your friends and family comfortable in your home. Call AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500 for a free ductwork check. Their reliable technicians thoroughly inspect your home's ductwork so you and yours don't get left out in the cold this holiday season. Call AAA Heating and Air at 803-677-1500 to schedule your free ductwork check today.
AAA Air when you need us. AAA Heating and Air.
Up at the dealership, people pause. Out comes good old trade-in clause. The perfect time of year to upgrade your ride. Trade in your car while the values are high. Ho, ho, ho. Bring your old sleigh to Galliana Kia on Greystone, because we'll take any trade, regardless of condition. Are you stuck in a loan or lease? We'll get you released, even if you're over mileage, have months left, or still owe thousands. And if you're currently leasing a Kia, we'll give you up to $1,000 cash to turn it in early. You can buy a new Kia with zip, zero, zilch, nothing down, and zero payments for the next 3 months. If you got a job and make at least $2,000 per month, Galliana Kia has lenders that can get you approved. 'Tis the Kia season of giving back sales event. Galliana Kia on Greystone, I-126 Zoo Exit in Columbia. Call 779-7300 or KiaColumbia.com. Real stock number 3K1107. 0 down, $279 per month for 84 months at 6.9 APR. Price plus tax tag includes $225 closing fee. Negative trade equity finance to new loan subject to lender approval. Expires January 3rd.
Do you know a special woman who deserves nothing but the best for the holidays? This Christmas, spoil her with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas. The next best thing to wearing nothing at all. Naturally nude pajamas, exclusively at Pajamagram, are smooth to the touch, light as air, truly seductive. Order today and Pajamagram will include a free matching naturally nude nightie. That's a $75 saving on a best-selling holiday gift. Yes, ordering today gets you a free $75 nightie. Definitely an effortless way to let her know how much you care. Now you can give her 2 sensuous gifts that she'll love to relax in. But hurry. Year after year, naturally nude pajamas sell out. So here's what you need to do. Head to pajamagram.com or text the word gift to 41234. That's gift to 41234. Order today, ships tomorrow.
Travis Bedson, the owner of CNT Foundations. Travis, a sinking foundation can give a homeowner a sinking feeling. How can you help?
At CNT Foundations, we are your foundation experts, not expert salespeople. As general contractors, we offer lifetime solutions and real peace of mind.
Call 803-805-8044. CNT Foundations, your foundation experts.
107.5 The Game's early signing day extravaganza
is sponsored by Griffin Pools and Spas, your Bullfrog Spa headquarters. On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell on the home of the Gamecocks, 107.5 The Game.
11:35 on a Wednesday morning, and welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour as our coverage of National Signing Day here on 107.5 The Game continues. Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, Wes Mitchell here with you. Going to talk about a few more of the specific players in this class of 2023 for Carolina. Not a lot of huge surprises. Carolina did get a commitment yesterday afternoon from Elijah Davis, the defensive line prospect, junior college guy, but as Wes mentioned just before the last break, Tennessee, Alabama, as well as several other SEC schools in the mix. So a really good get there for South Carolina. A flip of tight end prospect Reed McKeska, who had formerly been committed to Clemson, most recently was committed to Miami. Carolina flipped him. And it sounds like, based on what you were saying earlier about Bakari Swain, the idea, the risk, I guess, Wes, of him flipping to Colorado is less of a concern for South Carolina at this point. So we'll keep you updated. You can get the running list right now of the guys that are committed and have officially signed over on Gamecock Central. Y'all be updating that all day. And Shane Beamer has a press conference at 3 o'clock this afternoon where he will be introducing the new members of the signing class of 2023 for South Carolina. I want to ask you about one other interesting story from the last week or so. But first, Chris loves telling everybody about the sub of the day. Bop, bop. Don't you, Chris?
Great intro. I do love telling everybody about the sub of the day from our good friends, Larry Chandler, Firehouse Subs, 14 different locations throughout the Midlands. We just helped him open. I'll go that far. We helped him open back on Friday, the Orangeburg location. It was absolutely packed. People coming in to get their sub of the day and try all sorts of different stuff. It was the first Firehouse Subs in Orangeburg, so people were super pumped about it. They were obviously very excited. So sure, they'll be going back on a daily basis. But if you are not in Orangeburg, if you're here in Columbia, where we are, Sumter, all throughout the Midlands, 14 different locations, you can visit any Firehouse Subs location and get their daily sub special. That's $5.99 for a small, $7.99 for a medium. And today, I will get the day correct today. Yesterday, I said it was Monday. I do know that today is Wednesday because it's early signing day, and that is always on a Wednesday. Today is one of my favorites, the New York Steamer. If you've not had it, you must try it. It is a game changer. If you don't want the sub of the day today, try the new prime rib steak sub or any of the great offerings at Firehouse Subs. Order through the Firehouse Subs text line, 803-404-6100 here at the station. You'll get a link back to order. Rapid Rescue at firehousesubs.com or download the Firehouse Subs app to get the sub of the day from Firehouse Subs.
Who wants to take my hard question?
I'll do it.
What the heck happened with Tree Babalade?
Oh, boy. Some of the...
He signed with South Carolina today.
He signed. He recommitted
Nothing
last night.
happened.
Like
everything's
8 p.m.
fine.
Yeah, what in the world?
It was an interesting timeline. So it's about 10 days ago. About 10 days ago, the coaching staff, 6 coaches, including Shane Beamer, visited Tree up in Maryland. The next day, I think that was on a Sunday. Excuse me. The next day, Marshawn Lloyd enters a transfer portal, attended the same high school as Tree. And then on Tuesday, a day after, is when Tree decommitted. And so the indications are, Maryland made a push, as they did back in August. They made a push and kind of muddied the waters, caused some confusion, etc. Tree, ended up decommitting because he did want to think things over. He kind of got a little uncertain. And you'll remember, y'all, back in August, early August is when Tree originally committed to South Carolina. He had pushed his decision back a little bit, delayed his decision a little bit because of a push from Maryland. And so it kind of happened again. It was part 2, kind of. After that, there were a lot of concerning signs, right? He had decommitted. He's a Maryland kid. He shows up at the Maryland basketball game. He's with Nick Harbor, the Kevin Plank photo that circulated. But what ended up happening is South Carolina staff was able to do a good job of just getting him back in the fold, reminding him of the original reasons that he committed, wanted to get away from actually home and do something different and play in the SEC, and a lot of the relationships that were longstanding that he had at South Carolina, and they were able to kind of weather that storm and get him back in the fold. And so happens sometimes in recruiting. Kids, it's often a fight right down to the end, whether or not a kid's committed, and that's kind of what happened here.
It's unusual, though, and we talked about it yesterday, I guess, in anticipation of that decision, but the third time in essentially a year and a half that South Carolina's had a commit, decommit, and then recommit. That was Anthony Rose. It was Cam Upshaw, I believe, and then now Tree Babalade. So I suppose all's well that ends well, and that's just kind of the nature of the beast right now. Does that have more to do with Carolina, the way they recruit? Does it have more to do with the kids, or is it just weird circumstances? Because I can't imagine most schools, many schools, have 3 decommits that all recommit in the same year.
We'd have to kind of go back, because I'm sure even if we go SEC schools, and then if you expand that out to Power 5 schools, I'm sure it's happened. Like, there have been schools that have decommitments and recommitments.
Yeah.
We have even seen the decommitment before at times. So, I don't know. I think that's an outlier this year too, really, at South Carolina.
I guess I'm asking, is it easier to decommit from South Carolina? Not decommit, but because and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if you decommit from Clemson, you're pretty much dead to them, right? They're not interested in having people recommit.
Not now. There are some examples,
right? I feel like that used to be their stance. It's if you once you commit, you can't take official visits.
That's definitely a stance.
So there, I guess it seems like there are schools that take a more hardline approach to those things, and it seems like South Carolina, clearly they're willing to take guys that have decommitted and taken official visits elsewhere. Is that specific to South Carolina? Do more schools take an open approach like that, or are more schools in kind of the Clemson class?
No, more schools are open, and even look, Clemson had a guy decommit and get back in the class this year. It was Zach Owens, the offensive lineman out of Georgia, decommitted. Looked like he was considering Florida State and some others, and then talked with Dabo Swinney, jumped back in. There was a guy from the DMV that they had, a former 5-star, who wanted to take some other visits. Dabo made him basically decommit, and then he ended up jumping back in the class. Cannot remember for the life of me the guy's name, but it was a few classes ago. So, point is, they even have it happen there, and you're right, they do take a little bit of a harder line stance of, if you commit, you can't take visits. There are plenty of guys that have committed to South Carolina that have taken other visits, and I would say that is the more common approach. Just because a lot of schools see it as just nature of the beast, it's just part of it. And so they're able to hold off some of those things. Tree Babalade was not the only Gamecock commit that Maryland made a run at in this class. And so I think they just see it as kind of the cost of business.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That was the hard question that I had for you. I'll give the easy one now to Wes. Well, maybe not the easy one, but a really good question I thought here from B in the text line, 803-404-6100. That's the Firehouse Subs text line. Wondering if any of the defensive backs in this 2023 class project as true corners. Says, I know Coach Gray can coach up anyone and move guys around, but where will all of these DBs fit in the end? Says, took several safeties in the last class. Is there a logjam situation there? Or Wes, which one of these guys would you say maybe has the best chance to turn into a true corner?
Yeah, good question. And I don't think there's a logjam at safety, but there are definitely some safeties in this class and some safeties in last class. I would look at, let's go back to Bakari. If Bakari Swain does not play offense, he's a guy you probably look at as being someone with the athleticism, the fluidity, if you will, to be a true cornerback. Some of the other guys I think are more maybe nickel/safety guys. And Judge Collier, one that I think could maybe go either way as far as cornerback or safety, currently listed as a safety on 3, but I think would have the potential to play cornerback. And as with anything, you sort of get these guys in, you get a look at them in person and kind of, among their peers, you look at them trying to match up with wide receivers, and you look at your own needs and sort of where your defense is at that point in time and kind of make all those individual decisions. So I think it's one of those things you always have kind of a general idea. Oh, this guy's probably this position within the secondary, but then there's a bunch of factors Maybe a guy's a little more athletic than you even think.
Yeah.
And you say, oh, I can play corner. Or maybe a guy gets in, he's a little more stiff than you thought. You're like, well, this guy's he might be a safety. Or maybe he just outgrows a position and he's a linebacker. So all these things are to be determined, but that's the way I would sort of I guess structure it right now.
And a lot of this is based on needs. So Carolina came into the season with what felt like real urgency to have some depth at safety. As it turned out, Nick Emamori and DQ Smith were all they needed. But when you have Cam Smith and Darius Rush and Marcellus Dial, maybe it was a little easier to have some of the younger guys learn the nickel, learn the safety where you needed some more depth. So, Anthony Rose, Peyton Williams, Keenan Nelson, Emery Floyd, now that Carolina's going to need help everywhere, safety and corner. Have you heard any buzz about those guys in the bowl practice that maybe were playing nickel or safety, playing a little more corner? Are those guys mostly solidly in the nickel safety category?
Yeah, I think, let's see, if you kind of go one by one, there's some buzz about Anthony Rose maybe playing some cornerback, some buzz about Keenan Nelson Jr. maybe playing some nickel. And, I think if that is the case, and Emery Floyd was playing corner himself, Quan Banks has shown he can play really corner, nickel, or safety. I think
O'Donnell's 25, right? He played some corner this year.
Yeah, he played, I think pretty much all corner this year. So, O'Donnell Fortune was the next guy in line.
Right. But I guess didn't see the field a whole lot, but when he did, it was almost all at the corner.
Yeah, he basically split reps with Darius Rush in the Clemson game because Rush was banged up. So if you want to look at that group right now, Fortune is probably the next guy in line. He'll, I would imagine, start the bowl game opposite of Marcellus Dial, and then they've got a number of ways they could go at nickelback, whether it's DQ or whether DQ's playing safety. I think Keenan Nelson Jr. will have his say there at nickel potentially. Kawhi Banks could be in the mix. Like they do have some options there, and then they'll have a whole off season, to figure it out.
Yeah, the bowl practices in the game will probably give the coaching staff and Torian Gray specifically a really good opportunity to see what he has and to see maybe where guys fit best going into the next offseason. So appreciate the question. B 803-404-6100. That's the Firehouse Subs text line. Also the Love Chevy phone line. However you want to be a part of the show. Got one more segment here as we break down National Signing Day. A few more thoughts on the class of 2023. Don't forget to get all of us on Twitter as well, at Pearson Fowler, at Wes Mitchell GC, and at GC Chris Clark.
107.5 The Game's Early Signing Day Extravaganza
is sponsored by Griffin Pools and Spas, your Bullfrog Spa headquarters.
On your home of the Gamecocks.
107.5 The Game.
The cleaning pros at Zerorez Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning want to make sure your carpets stay clean this holiday season. Right now, get 3 rooms of carpet clean for only $119 plus. When you mention me, Bill Gunner at 107.5 The Game, you can get a hallway cleaned for free. Easily schedule your cleaning online at ZerorezColumbia.com.
Do you know a special woman who deserves nothing but the best for the holidays? This Christmas, spoil her with soft, silky, naturally nude pajamas. The next best thing to wearing nothing at all. Naturally nude pajamas, exclusively at Pajamagram, are smooth to the touch, light as air, truly seductive. Order today and Pajamagram will include a free matching naturally nude nightie. That's a $75 saving on a best-selling holiday gift. Yes, ordering today gets you a free $75 nightie. Definitely an effortless way to let her know how much you care. Now you can give her 2 sensuous gifts that she'll love to relax in. But hurry. Year after year, naturally nude pajamas sell out. So here's what you need to do. Head to Pajamagram.com or text the word GIFT to 41234. That's GIFT to 41234. Order today, ships tomorrow.
I never write reviews, but Navage is so amazing, I had to leave one. Nothing's ever cleared out my sinuses as well. I'm blown away by how Navage works. That's a review from Carrie, and it's one of over 100,000 online testimonials praising Navage. I'm Martin Hoke, the inventor of Navage Nasal Care, and I've talked about flushing out allergens, viruses, mucus, and germs, how Navage's powered suction can help you breathe better, and how your nose is the body's air filter, and Navage will clean it out. But don't take my word for it. What do people like Chad say, who wrote, Navage has helped clear out my nasal passages every single night. My wife says my snoring has gone way down. Snorefest be gone, unquote. Navage is the all-natural solution trusted by over 3 million customers to help you breathe better, sleep deeper, snore less, and stay healthier without drugs. Navage is available at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, Rite Aid, Bed Bath, Target, and online. Navage, N-A-V-A-G-E. Clean nose, healthy life.
Hi, folks. Johnny Stivers here for the all-new Stivers Hyundai. Our 50,000 square foot facility is complete with a massive two-story showroom, climate-controlled service drive, a quick service facility for your regular maintenance needs, and a huge, comfortable waiting room to rest or get work done while you wait. Now, through the end of the month, I've got 0% on most vehicles, and we have a huge inventory right now with more on the way. You'll never pay over sticker for one of my cars. So, Columbia, when you think Hyundai, think Stivers Hyundai on the corner of Faro and Killian Road, where price sells cars.
Broadcasting live from the Herndon Chevrolet Studios. This is 1075 The Game. Stop by or shop online today and see why Herndon Chevrolet makes you smile.
1075 The Game's early signing day extravaganza
Is sponsored by Griffin Pools and Spas, your Bullfrog Spa headquarters. On your home of the Gamecocks.
1075 The Game.
It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Presented by Firehouse Subs. Founded by firemen with Pearson Fowler, Chris Clark, and Wes Mitchell. On the home of the Gamecocks. 1075 The Game.
9 minutes in front of noon on a Wednesday morning. Welcome back into the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour as 1075 The Game's coverage of National Signing Day continues. Pearson, Wes, Chris, here with you. You know, normally y'all have been, I mean, obviously you're part of the regular rotation here now. Y'all have been doing takeovers on signing day for a while now. This seems like, well, I'll just say normally y'all are more frantic. And it seems like it's been pretty laid back. Wes yesterday predicted that it was going to be uneventful in terms of news, always busy in terms of the work that you guys have to do. South Carolina, most everybody has signed. As of right now, Desmond Umeozulu, Xavier Hardy, Jalen Kilgore, Bakari Swain. Those are the only commits that remain unsigned for the class of 23 at this point?
Dez just came through. So that is official.
There we go. So just 3 more.
Yep.
Everyone kind of getting their work done, and South Carolina is still waiting potentially to flip Lenora Sellers. One of the other guys in West, now I'm just like reading your own article to you. But you have tabbed a 3-star linebacker Cameron Robinson, who's a Virginia commit, as somebody to watch for South Carolina, I guess, as a potential flip. No.
He basically he's on the list because he visited over the weekend.
Okay.
So we don't expect him to flip.
Okay.
I think.
But was someone to watch maybe going?
He was
into the
someone
day?
to watch. I think his final 3 was sort of Virginia, South Carolina, Florida State. Was looking pretty heavily at Florida State, then visited South Carolina over the weekend, official visit. And, I think they gave him plenty to think about. So I would say probably 48 hours ago, I would have said, hey, this is a guy to definitely watch. I left him on our list there just because he hasn't officially signed yet and because I figured fans would be asking about him.
Yeah.
But as far as like expectation today, it would take it would basically take him changing his mind, like him being like, all right, I actually woke up this morning and am not sold on my decision. The expectation going into today was that it would be Virginia. Really, a lot of the excitement for the things we were looking at and tracking went ahead and went down yesterday. With that big stretch, I mean, getting 4 public commitments yesterday. Those are all guys that in theory, could have gone today, which would have been a much more hectic day as far as new news goes. But right now we're really only tracking, you would say Joshua Simon, Lenora Sellers for Friday, keeping an eye on Cameron Robinson just until he makes it official. But again, expect it to be Virginia. And, of course, waiting on Bakari Swain to make that official, given the Deion Sanders push there.
Is his announcement expected today?
Bakari?
Yes.
Yeah, he is having a signing ceremony tonight. Always a chance they go ahead and announce that signing before then. So we'll see. So a lot of times the guys will send in their letter of intents before they're signing things. So I don't know if he's even considering that like a quote announcement. I know some people were kind of maybe freaking out because they're like, oh, why is he having an announcement if he's committed? It's just his ceremony like everybody else is having. So I still feel pretty good about him sticking with South Carolina, but you always track those things until it's official.
So the only one to be remotely concerned about, Jalen Kilgore, Xavier Hardy are expected to just get theirs in at some point. You said Dez just came in as well. Lenora Sellers potentially flipping. You said that announcement is Friday for Sellers?
Friday during our show. So
great.
I may be calling in from Florence potentially.
Yeah, that sounds good.
From Buc-ee's.
So other than that, is this is it for Carolina's 2023 class, barring some ads in February, potentially in Nicholas Harbor and maybe someone else that crops up in the meantime?
Yeah, I mean, you've got Harbor. We'll see on Shamar Easter what happens. You know, the
That's
Arkansas
the Arkansas
commitment.
guy,
He's taking an official to Arkansas in January, extending his recruitment to February. Of course, by that time, you know, South Carolina's tight end room, both in high schoolers and transfer guys, will kind of be official. And there's no doubt that Arkansas is going to say, look at that room. I know you love Dowell Loggins, but you're an in-state guy. So, you know, did the chances go down? Maybe, but it's 50-50 right now. And you've also got the possibility, of course, of adding more guys from the transfer portal. There's been obviously tons of guys that have jumped in, but the window is still open for guys to enter. They don't have to transfer somewhere in that 45-day window, but they do have to enter. The majority of guys that are going to be in are in, the vast, vast majority. And a lot of them are going to be, you know, making decisions already by today, in the next few days. But there could be some either new entries or, after bowl season, or some guys that are already in that, you know, they continue to look at and recruit.
Yeah, I think we're going to have another wave after the bowls.
Yeah, 4 commits for Carolina right now. Is it safe to assume that Carolina will probably end up, if not close to, right at about double digits?
I think it kind of just depends. You mean transfers, obviously?
Yeah. With 4 right now. It just seems like with the amount of outgoing guys they have, obviously replacing a lot of them with freshmen, but you're also going to need to find some veteran players that can contribute right away.
Yeah, I think if they can close on the guys they want, I think there will be some more names popping up.
Okay.
And then we'll see what happens. But you would imagine, like I'm always hesitant to say like just throw out numbers like that because then people think you're talking about specifics, like you have guys in mind. I could see it definitely going double digits, but also I'm just saying that as more of a general statement, not like, oh, I'm thinking about this guy, this guy,
the 6 other guys.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll, of course, keep a close eye on that. Today, though, all about the high schoolers. Shane Beamer's press conference at 3 o'clock this afternoon to introduce the newest members of the class of 2023. That's all we have time for today. Keep tuning in to Gamecock Central. Just like I said, make it your homepage or your app or F5 for those of you that still have an F5 on your keyboard. And they'll have all the updates as they come. Appreciate their time, you guys, and appreciate all of you listening. Halftime show's coming up next.
Celebrating our 15th anniversary is Columbia's Sports Talk Station.